Okay, so this week we've got a really cool collection of ideas to dive into, all about building confidence.
Yeah.
And I think it's something we could all use a little bit more of.
Right.
All
Absolutely
right,
are.
so our mission for this deep dive is really to pull out the most useful advice from all these sources
Yes,
and give you some clear steps you can take to feel more self-assured starting right now.
exactly. And the main piece we're going to be looking at today is an article called How to Be More Confident: 9 Tips That Work by Amy Morin.
Okay.
And it's been reviewed by Dr. Rachel Goldman from Verywell Mind.
Got it.
Now, Amy Morin brings a ton of expertise to this. She's a psychotherapist and a best-selling author, really understands the whole idea of mental strength.
Yeah, for sure.
And just a quick note, of course, this is all for educational purposes and not a replacement for getting professional advice for your own specific situation.
Right, absolutely. So to get us started, the American Psychological Association defines self-confidence as the belief that one is capable of successfully meeting the demands of a task, which is kind of interesting because it's not always this like general thing, is
Right.
it? I mean, you might feel confident in your life overall,
Yeah.
but then get thrown into a specific situation like public speaking,
Public speaking for sure.
and suddenly that confidence just evaporates.
Oof, it's gone.
Right. And research shows just how important this feeling of self-belief is for our well-being.
It really is fundamental.
Yeah.
And, building and keeping that confidence going can be tough at times,
Yeah.
especially when we face setbacks. It takes conscious effort.
Oh, yeah.
Hannah Owens, she's a licensed master social worker. She makes a great point about how self-doubt affects us,
Mhm.
both on the inside, like how we see ourselves,
Yeah.
and then how we come across to others.
Right.
She says when we project confidence, it tells people that we're trustworthy and capable,
Makes sense.
which really matters in our social and professional lives.
For sure. Okay, so let's get into those 9 tips from Amy Morin that can actually boost our confidence. And the first one, I think we all been there, is stop comparing yourself to others.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
This whole idea of social comparison theory, it basically says we're kind of hardwired to size ourselves up against everyone else.
Right.
We see what people are posting online,
Yeah.
what our friends are achieving in their careers,
Uh-huh.
and it's so easy to get caught in that trap.
Totally.
But as research consistently shows, and there's a 2018 study in personality and individual differences that really highlights this,
Okay.
this habit is more likely to hurt our confidence than to help it.
Right.
They surveyed a large group of people and found a strong link between comparison and feelings of envy.
Mm.
And the more envious someone felt, the lower their self-esteem tended to be.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though, especially with how much we're all online these days.
Yeah. It's tough to escape.
So how do we actually break free from that constant comparison and start building our own confidence?
Well, the first thing Morin suggests is just becoming aware of when you're doing it and reminding yourself it's not helpful.
Okay.
Everyone is on their own unique journey, their own set of challenges and wins.
Uh-huh.
And life isn't some competition where we're all judged by the same standards.
Right.
So when you find yourself feeling that envy or like you're not good enough,
Yeah.
try to shift your attention back to your own strengths, your own progress, no matter how small.
I like that.
Keeping a gratitude journal can also be surprisingly helpful for that.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that before.
It helps you focus on those positive things in your own life.
It's like retraining your brain to see your own path as valuable.
Exactly.
And Hannah Owens had a really good point about social media making this whole comparison thing so much worse.
Oh, yeah. It's like a breeding ground for it.
It's all these perfect highlight reels.
But Owens reminds us that what we're seeing is just a carefully selected version of someone's life.
Right.
It's not the whole picture.
So remembering that behind-the-scenes reality can help us appreciate our own everyday wins, which she says can make a huge difference in our confidence over time.
I think that leads perfectly into the second tip, which is all about the people we choose to have around us. Surround yourself with positive people.
This one seems pretty obvious, I think.
It does, but it's worth emphasizing.
Yeah, our social circles really shape how we see ourselves.
For sure.
So think about the people you spend the most time with.
Mm-hmm.
Do they make you feel good?
Yeah?
Do they support you and accept you for who you are?
Those are the ones you want to keep close.
Or do you walk away feeling drained or judged or just not good enough?
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Morin's point is that who we surround ourselves with can have a huge impact on how we think and feel about ourselves.
More than we might realize.
Right. So we need to be really intentional about our relationships.
Absolutely.
And if there's someone who's constantly bringing you down, maybe it's time to rethink that connection.
Instead, seek out those people who believe in you and want to see you succeed.
Yeah, surround yourself with that positive energy.
There's a strong link between Feeling confident and having a positive attitude.
For sure.
And the people around us can either fuel that or drain it.
Okay, so tip number 3. This one covers a lot of ground. Take care of your body.
This is so important. It lays the groundwork for confidence.
Right.
The basic idea is that it's hard to feel good about yourself if you're not taking care of your physical well-being.
Makes sense.
When you prioritize self-care, you're telling yourself that you deserve that attention.
Yeah.
And that message can really boost your confidence.
So what are some specific things we can do that are linked to feeling more confident?
Well, Morin talks about a few key areas. Diet is a big one.
Okay.
Eating healthy foods gives you more energy and makes you feel physically stronger,
Uh-huh.
all of which contributes to a more positive self-image.
Makes sense.
Exercise is another one. There's actually a study from 2016 that showed
Oh, yeah?
that regular physical activity improves body image.
Hmm.
And when people felt better about their bodies, their confidence went up too.
I can see that.
It makes sense, you know? When you feel strong and capable in your body,
Right.
that feeling can spill over into other areas of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what else is part of taking care of our bodies?
Meditation is super powerful. It's not just about relaxation.
Yeah.
It helps you become more self-aware and accepting. And it gives you tools to handle negative self-talk.
So it's about quieting that inner critic.
Exactly. And then there's sleep.
Oh, yeah. Sleep is essential.
It's so important for our emotional well-being,
Getting enough sleep has been linked to more positive personality traits.
like optimism and self-esteem.
So it's like when we take care of these basic needs,
Yes.
we're sending a message to ourselves and to the world.
That we value our own well-being.
And that can affect how others see us and how we see ourselves.
For sure.
Okay, so the 4th tip is be kind to yourself.
This is all about self-compassion.
Yeah.
Treating ourselves with the same understanding and kindness that we would offer to a friend,
Right.
especially when we mess up or face setbacks.
We're usually much harder on ourselves than we would be on anyone else.
Exactly. Self-compassion helps us bounce back from those tough emotions.
Makes sense.
And it actually strengthens our connections with other people, too.
Oh, interesting.
There's a study from 2015 that found a strong connection between self-compassion and higher self-confidence.
So instead of beating ourselves up when things go wrong,
Yeah.
we should try to be understanding and accepting.
Exactly. Like you would be with a friend.
And remember that being imperfect is just part of being human.
It's okay to not be perfect.
Okay, tip number 5. This one is all about that voice inside our heads. Practice positive self-talk.
The inner critic, we all have it.
Yeah. Mine can be pretty loud sometimes.
But negative self-talk can really hold us back.
How so?
It can convince us that we're not capable,
Yeah.
that we can't overcome challenges, that
Yeah.
we're just not worthy of good things.
And those negative beliefs eat away at our confidence.
Exactly. They make us hesitant to even try.
I can see that.
But when we focus on positive self-talk, it builds self-compassion and helps us overcome those doubts.
So we're more likely to step outside our comfort zone.
Yes.
Okay, so how do we actually do this?
Yeah.
How do we switch from negatives to positive?
Morin gives some really helpful examples.
Okay.
Like if you're feeling overwhelmed and thinking, I can't handle this,
Yeah.
try reframing it to something like, I can break this down into smaller steps. Or I just need to take it one step at a time.
I like that.
Or if you catch yourself thinking, I never do anything right,
Oh, yeah, that's a common one.
shift it to, well, this didn't go as planned, but I learned something.
Okay.
And I'll try a different approach next time.
So it's about being mindful of our thoughts
Yeah.
and consciously choosing more supportive language.
Even a small change can make a difference.
Yeah.
Like changing, I dread public speaking. Public speaking is a challenge, but I'm willing to practice.
It's about being our own cheerleader instead of our own worst critic.
Exactly.
Okay, so the 6th tip, this one can be a little scary face. Your fears.
It's a classic for a reason.
All right, it's easy to put things off until we feel more confident.
Whether it's having a tough conversation
Uh-huh.
or asking someone out
Yeah.
or going for that promotion.
It's tempting to wait for that confidence to magically appear.
But Morin says one of the best ways to actually build confidence is by facing those fears head on.
So we don't wait for confidence. We create it through action.
Exactly.
By actually doing the things that scare us.
She suggests thinking of these situations as experiments,
Okay.
not as pass-fail tests.
So the goal is to learn and grow no matter what happens.
There's even a study from 2010 that showed
Really?
that a little bit of self-doubt can actually help us perform better.
Huh. How does that work?
It can make us prepare more and focus harder.
Interesting.
The key is not to let fear paralyze you.
So what are some of the benefits of facing our fears?
Well, we often find that the things we were worried about
Yeah.
weren't as bad as we imagined.
Right.
And each time we push through that fear,
Yeah.
we build evidence that we can handle challenging situations.
Makes sense.
It strengthens our trust in ourselves.
And it can also prevent us from taking bigger, unnecessary risks later on.
Because we're not trying to prove something.
Hannah Owens compares it to exposure therapy.
The more we gradually confront what scares us,
Yeah.
the less afraid we become.
So even small victories count.
They'll all add up.
Okay, tip number 7. This one's a bit more enjoyable. Do things you're good at.
This is a great way to give your confidence a boost.
Yeah, it sounds a lot less scary than facing our fears.
When you do things you know you're good at,
Uh-huh.
it reinforces your strengths and your belief in your own abilities.
And there's research that links a strong belief in your strengths to greater life satisfaction.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So the idea is to figure out what you excel at
Okay.
and then make time for those activities regularly.
Whether it's a sport or a skill at work or a creative hobby.
Exactly. Whatever makes you feel competent and fulfilled.
Tip number 8. This one is important for setting boundaries. Know when to say no.
This can be tough for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's definitely something I struggle with.
But it's crucial for protecting your confidence.
How so?
While it's great to do things you're good at,
Yeah.
you also need to recognize when to say no to things that make you feel bad about yourself.
Right.
It's about setting healthy boundaries.
And being aware of what drains our confidence.
Morin makes it clear this isn't about avoiding all discomfort.
Yeah.
Growth often requires stepping outside our comfort zone
But it's about knowing our limits.
and saying no to things that we know will hurt our self-perception.
So it's about that feeling of control,
Exactly.
which is linked to feeling more confident.
And it's not a sign of weakness to say no.
Mhm.
It's actually an act of self-care.
And self-respect.
You might even feel more confident to revisit those situations later on.
Once you've built up your self-assurance.
Exactly.
Okay, so the final tip, number 9, set realistic goals.
This is important because if we're always reaching for impossible goals
Yeah.
and then failing to achieve them, it can actually damage our confidence.
There's a 2021 study that backs this up.
It showed that unattainable goals can undermine our belief in ourselves.
So we need to set ourselves up for success.
Yes, with goals that are challenging but still achievable,
And each time we reach a goal,
no matter how small.
it gives our confidence a boost.
Morin suggests a simple approach.
Okay.
Write down your goal.
Uh-huh.
Honestly assess if it's realistic.
Right.
And if it's not, adjust it.
She gives the example of healthy weight loss.
Experts recommend losing 1 to 2 pounds per week.
Yeah.
So setting a goal within that range is more likely to lead to success.
Which then boosts our confidence.
It's a positive cycle.
So it's about breaking down those huge goals
Yes.
into smaller, more manageable steps.
That we can actually achieve.
So we've covered all 9 tips.
We have.
What's the main takeaway here?
The key is that building self-confidence is an ongoing process.
Right.
It takes effort and a combination of strategies.
It's about being mindful of our comparisons, surrounding ourselves with positive people,
Absolutely.
taking care of our bodies, being kind to ourselves, practicing positive self-talk, facing our fears, leveraging our strengths.
Setting boundaries and aiming for achievable goals.
There's a lot to it, but it's all connected.
It is.
The article also had a helpful table
Yeah.
that compared the behaviors of confident people to those who struggle with insecurity.
It's a good visual reminder.
So confident people tend to celebrate others.
Yes.
They're open-minded and optimistic,
Mm-hmm.
willing to take risks.
They can laugh at their own mistakes.
They're decisive, and they're lifelong learners.
They admit when they're wrong.
And they take responsibility for their actions.
On the other hand, people who lack confidence, they might be more judgmental and jealous,
Closed-minded and pessimistic.
afraid of change.
And they might try to hide their flaws
They can be indecisive.
and make excuses or blame others.
It's a stark contrast.
And the benefits of feeling confident are huge.
They really are.
It improves our work, our relationships.
Yes.
It makes us more open to new experiences.
And more resilient when things get tough.
And here's an important thing to remember.
Okay.
Everyone struggles with self-doubt at some point.
It's a universal experience.
But sometimes just acting confident
Even when we don't feel it,
can actually make us feel more confident.
it's like faking it till you make it.
Hannah Owens compared it to smiling.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you force yourself to smile,
Uh-huh.
it can actually trigger those happy chemicals in your brain.
So by acting confident,
others might perceive us differently,
Yes.
which can give us that external validation.
And boost our actual confidence.
It's a positive feedback loop.
It is. But it's also important to know
Yeah.
that if low self-confidence is really affecting your life, like at work or in your relationships or your education,
Then reaching out to a therapist can be incredibly helpful.
they can help you understand the root of the problem.
And develop those confidence-building skills.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into building confidence,
Yeah.
here's something to think about this week.
Okay.
Out of all these tips we've talked about,
Uh-huh.
what's one small change you can make
Yeah.
starting this week?
To start building that self-trust.
Even a small step can make a big difference over time.
I think that's a great place to leave it. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive,
Thanks for having me.
and we'll see you next time.
See you then.